So over the past couple weeks, we've done some very tough challenges, scoring 100 goals with one player in a single season and going 82-0, the perfect season, and capping it off with the Stanley Cup. But today we're going to try to do something that's even more difficult than both those things combined, breaking Wayne Gretzky's point record. We are going to try to draft a player and allow them to score over 3,000 points. Well, it doesn't have to be 3,000, but all he has to do is break Wayne Gretzky's point record. Pretty simple. So I've turned draft class quality up to high. I've turned scoring up to high. I've basically maxed out everything here. We're going to try to secure an elite player in the draft, trade for an elite player entering the league. They just have to break Wayne Gretzky's point record. So it's no surprise that Everett Elks, they aren't going to be good in season number 1 here. We're just going to simulate the entire year, head over to the draft, and ideally get the number 1 overall pick and bring a franchise potential player onto the team. Simple enough. So season number 1's wrapping up here. Jonathan Toews was almost a point a game, but that doesn't matter. We got simulate up to the draft lottery, and ideally we get the first overall pick. Wow, we actually didn't get screwed for once. I am so used to dropping from 1 to 3 that I'm actually surprised when we stick at the number 1 overall pick. So yeah, hopefully there's a franchise potential player. If not, I'm going to be very disappointed. I mean, if there isn't a franchise potential player, I might trade from 1 to 2, and then we can just acquire a bunch of other assets as well. You know what? Let's see what's available here at the draft, and then we'll make our decision based on that. Because here's what I'm thinking. Look at this first overall pick. It has so much trade value. It's actually a bit ridiculous right now. So Calgary, you were one of the worst teams in the entire league, so I'll take your 3rd overall pick, but in exchange you have to give me a 2nd and 3rd rounder. I'm going to offer this package over. They're saying no because it's a bit low, so I'll include a 7th rounder and we'll get this deal done. So the 199th overall is going to be sent over to Calgary, and we got this deal done. This was definitely the right move, because what's the difference between 1st and 3rd? You gotta be kidding me. Berkeley Catton just went number 1 overall. We traded you the 1st overall pick so you could select Berkeley Catton. That's actually a joke. You know what? We could live with this guy right here. A medium elite offensive defenseman. Yeah, that's who we're going to go with here. But yeah, you got to be kidding me. Berkeley Catton's going number 1. I mean, it was worth trading that pick, I guess. I mean, like, they went with the guy projected 5th overall. We got this medium elite offensive defenseman that we wanted. But yeah, Berkeley Catton going number 1. Not too sure what I think about that. And it looks like we're going to do some great drafting outside the 1st round here, because with the 100th overall pick, we're going to be grabbing a medium elite potential goaltender, and he's already starting off at a 56 overall, so that's a great sign for him. So when it comes to the re-sign phase, the only 2 guys I'm interested in right now, Jonathan Toews and Phil Kessel. Toews is up to an 88 overall. I don't even know how that happened, but you know what? We're going to keep him on this team, 7.5 for next season. And then Phil the Thrill Kessel, we got to keep you around on a 1-year deal as well. I'll do 1 year at $6 million. Ideally, we trade both of you guys at 50% retained next deadline. But you know what? Right now, things are actually looking pretty solid. And then, of course, when it comes to our 3rd overall pick, we're going to be signing him as well. So what's the plan for season number 2 and season number 3? Well, we're just going to keep on tanking here. We're going to continue to be one of the worst teams in the entire league, and eventually we're going to bring a franchise potential player to the team, and they're going to break the record. We're going to build the entire team around that one player, and we're going to make sure the offense is always running through that man. When it's 5-on-5, the offense goes through him. When we're on the power play, the offense goes through him. When it's 4-on-4, the offense goes through him. The penalty kill, the offense goes through him. No matter what happens, we're going to build this entire team around one player, and the entire game is going to revolve around him. So with that being said, we have a couple guys we can trade away here. Jonathan Toews and Phil Kessel are both on 1-year deals, so we're going to trade them at the trade deadline at 50% retained. But while we wait for the season to simulate, if you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to the channel. We're trying to hit 70k by the end of the month, and if you're a part of the 69% people that aren't subbed to the channel, we won't be able to do that, so subscribe right now. So no surprise here, this team's an absolute dumpster fire. But you know what, Jonathan Toews, you have a bit of trade value. Phil Kessel, you have a little bit of trade value as well. It's time to trade both of you guys. So ideally, Jonathan Toews and Phil Kessel is going to be enough to get this deal done. They're going to be saying no, but we do have some draft picks we can trade away. Now, I don't want to trade a ton, but if I have to go with Calgary's 3rd round pick, I think that might be the move. So I'm going to offer this package over. The Rangers are saying yes. That's a big time move for us. We get a couple young prospects that are hopefully going to develop. Capo Caco is going to play number 1 line minutes. He's going to develop into a star player. And then once he's reached his peak potential, we're trading him away and we're getting a ton of assets. You see this right here? You'll love to see it. The Everett Elks, the 1st overall pick once again here. It's happened 2 years in a row. What is this luck? This never happens. I never get the 1st overall pick, let alone get it twice in 2 years. Yeah, the impossible's happening. We're scoring 3,000 points with one player, that's for sure. Knowing my luck, the best player available is going to have like medium top 6 potential or something. It's going to be the worst draft of all time, and I'm somehow going to get screwed here. But you know what? We're not worried about that. Let's head to the draft. Are we going to be getting a franchise potential player? I think we might be. I did take a look at the draft class about a month into the season, and there was one guy that stood alone. This guy looked phenomenal. Does he have franchise potential? We don't know yet, but it was Riley Stewart. This man was absolutely dominant playing for USA Hockey. I think we have to draft him. 49 goals, 62 assists here, 68 points. We got to take the risk on a guy like this. I do want to point out our scouts did a whole lot of nothing. Like, these guys were not scouting anybody. But you know what? We're going with Riley Stewart. I think he's going to be the guy for us. Medium franchise potential. That's what we're looking for here. Is he going to have it? Yes, he is. Medium franchise potential. He's a power forward too. That's elite. We want a power forward. That's exactly what we were looking for. We're cooking right now. Also, I think we should have definitely given up more assets for Calgary's first round pick, because yeah, that turned out to be the 3rd overall. But you know what? We got our medium franchise potential player. Riley Stewart's going to be the guy that breaks the record. 18 years old. He's already got 4 X Factors. He'll have a superstar X Factor next season. We just need to build the team around him. Also, look at those shooting stats. 92s across the board. He's reminding me of Kavasha, a man that we'll never forget about. Now, even though we just secured a medium franchise potential player, I'm not done, because Michael Misa, you could be that superstar playmaker we're looking for. You're starting off as a 77 overall. You'd be an elite playmaker for us. You're not going to shoot the puck a ton. So the 34th overall, the 35th overall, and this medium top 4 potential defenseman is going to be sent over to Detroit. They're going to say no here. I'm willing to include a 2nd rounder for next season. Actually, that's a bit OD. I'm not trading a 2nd rounder for next season, but I will give up a 3rd rounder. Is that going to be enough for Michael Misa? Okay, that's a big time trade. We just got an elite playmaker that's going to be on this team in the future. Not for this upcoming season though, because we have a ton of money to work with. We're going to spend all of it on 1-year deals. We're going to bring in some big playmakers. Michael Misa, I'm going to give you another year to develop. We're making the right moves here, and this team's about to break the record. I don't know why I keep saying this team's about to break the record. Riley Stewart's about to break the record, because this entire video is about him from here on out. Oh yeah, I also just learned that the rest of this draft, absolutely abysmal. So Winnipeg's 1st round pick for next season, don't mind if I do. We're going to trade that immediately here. So the only move we're going to be making during the re-sign phase is bringing Riley Stewart to the team. Outside of that, we're not doing anything. Michael Misa, I'm not going to give you your entry level contract till next season. You're going back to the OHL for another year. So we have $83 million in cap space, but the one thing that we have to make sure is we build a very well balanced top 2 lines. So a guy like Max Domi on a 1-year deal actually could be very good for us. So that's exactly what I'm going to give him. 1 year, it's going to be $8 million. We'll lock him down for the 1 season. He'll be a good playmaker alongside Riley Stewart. Now, normally I'd pick up a guy like Jamie Benn, but I think the only problem is he's going to take shots away from Riley Stewart, and that man's whole career is going to be around scoring goals, so I think Jamie Benn might hold him back a bit too much. So Mangiapane, I'll bring you on for the 1 season. We're going to do 7.5. Kuznetsov, you might not be the player you used to be, but you know what? You can still pass the puck, so here's $6 million. Another guy we're going to bring to the team here is going to be Tyler Bertuzzi, and that's going to be $7.4 million. Jeff Petrie, you got a decent enough passing attribute, so I'll also bring you to the team here. I'll do $5.6 million for next season. I'll give Yanni Gord 6.2 for next season. So the final player is going to be Sharon Govich, $6.8 million, but I just lied because we do need a goaltender. So who's going to sign to the team here? I don't necessarily want to spend a ton of money on a goaltender. So yeah, Aiden Hill, we can do 3 years at like $5.5 million. 5.5 is not the end of the world for a goaltender such as yourself, and these are going to be the only moves we're making. Let's head to next season, and Riley Stewart, I hope you have a career rookie season. Now, I cannot stress this enough. The goal for a video such as this isn't to win a ton of games. We are not trying to win Stanley Cups here. We are just trying to have a player like Riley Stewart record 3,000 points and break Wayne Gretzky's record. And you know what? I think he's got a great start here. He's an 83 overall, of course, that medium franchise potential, but playing alongside Max Domi, who's an 87 right now, and Tyler Bertuzzi, who's an 86, that's a great start to your career. Next season, you're going to have Michael Misa join the team, but I do believe we're going to be a mid-team once again here, so don't be surprised if we're getting another top pick in the draft. We also own Winnipeg's 1st round pick, so best case scenario, they're one of the worst teams in the entire league, and we get multiple top picks in the draft. So in Riley Stewart's first season, I have to make this very clear. In order to score 3,000 points, we have to get a bit unrealistic. So Riley Stewart, you're going to play on the number 1 power play, and the number 2 power play, and the 4-man power play, and the second 4-man power play. When it comes to the power play, you're going to be on the ice no matter what. We just need you playing a ton of minutes here. So I think the first 3 seasons of your career are probably going to be pretty slow because we really don't have a good team here. But once Michael Misa joins the team, we make a couple other trades to improve us. I think we're going to be in a great spot. So we'll simulate season number 1. We'll simulate up to the trade deadline, probably make a couple moves there, and then hopefully get some younger playmakers that are going to develop alongside Riley Stewart. Now, of course, expectations are pretty low for season number 1. We're not going to be a good team here. A 25-35-5 record, don't care. Riley Stewart, 74 points so far in your rookie campaign. You've got 45 goals, 29 assists. You're going to be the guy that breaks the record. Max Domi, you're looking incredible. Tyler Bertuzzi, you're looking great as well, but I might trade both of you guys. I want to bring in some young players. Berkeley Catton, would you mind joining the team here? We're missing you. So I value Berkeley Catton quite a bit here, so I'm willing to trade quite a bit for him. Obviously, Max Domi's getting shipped out here. Tyler Bertuzzi, he's probably going to have to get shipped out as well. What are you offering me? I'm not trading Michael Misa. Arizona, I'm not doing a deal with you for the rest of the video. You insulted me. So I think I got the deal. It's going to be Max Domi over to the Devils for a first rounder and a third rounder. New Jersey thinks they're getting a steal here, but we're really the guys getting a steal here because that first round pick we acquired, that's about to be traded. So it's going to be Basha, a first round pick from the Devils, and a second from the Everett Elks over to the Calgary Flames for Berkeley Catton and Carter Savoy, 2 elite players. They're going to say no to this deal. I'll do 2 second rounders and that'll be enough to get this done. So it's going to be 2 second rounders, a first and Basha. We're getting Berkeley Catton here. He's going to be the missing piece. I can't believe they're actually saying no to this. So here's a third round pick as well. Basically, I'm willing to trade every pick that isn't our first rounder as long as we can get this deal done. Berkeley Catton, welcome to the team. We got the missing piece this team's been looking for. Even though we got Berkeley Catton, we're not done with the trades yet. Now I'm picking up a second rounder and a future first rounder from the Carolina Hurricanes for Tyler Bertuzzi, and now we're going to flip those picks over to the Washington Capitals. But I think we have to trade one other guy first, and that's got to be Sharon Govich. So Sharon Govich, I'll ship you over to the Colorado Avalanche at 50% retained, and we'll get a second and third rounder from the Avs. They're getting an absolute steal. We definitely lowballed ourselves there, but that's perfectly fine. We're going back to the Washington Capitals, and we're going to get this deal done, and Dylan Strome, you're going to come to the team. So here's Carolina's first rounder and a second rounder from the Colorado Avalanche and a second rounder from the Carolina Hurricanes, and Dylan Strome, you're going to be brought to the team here. I'm actually very surprised to say no to this deal. Do we have anyone in the CHL that we can trade away here? I mean, we do have this guy in the AHL. Okay, stop offering me trades for Michael Misa. He's untouchable. That man is not getting traded, but this is the guy I was thinking of. He's got a bit of trade value here. I could add him into this deal, and I think that will be enough for Dylan Strome. They're going to be saying no. But you know what? I've come to the conclusion a trade like this isn't going to be possible, so after this season, we'll circle back and get Dylan Strome. So I have some good news and I have some bad news. The good news, the Everett Elks, dead last in the entire league. We're going to be securing ourselves a top 3 pick in the draft. The bad news, Riley Stewart took a slight step back after the trade deadline, but no surprise here. He's finishing with 95 points and 61 goals. Why did he take the big step back? Well, face it. Max Domi got traded, Tyler Bertuzzi got traded, and we didn't really replace those guys. We picked up draft picks and we got Berkeley Catton, but Berkeley Catton didn't jump into the lineup this season. Next season's going to be special though. Berkeley Catton's going to be on this team, Michael Misa's going to be on this team, 2 elite playmakers. Big things are coming to this team. Aiden Hill, obviously your numbers are bad, but we just needed a goaltender. The Vancouver Canucks won a Stanley Cup, and who did they beat in the Stanley Cup final? The Boston Bruins in a 7-game series, so shout out to Vancouver. They finally got their revenge in the year 2026. It was only a matter of time before it happened. So could we get incredibly lucky here? 3 straight years getting the number 1. It doesn't look like it. We're dropping to number 3. Eventually it was going to happen. Nashville's jumping from 8 to 1, and Arizona, they're going to jump from 11 to 2. But it turns out that Carolina draft pick we picked up is actually pretty valuable. That's going to be the 17th overall, so that was actually a pretty good move for us. Winnipeg, on the other hand, nowhere to be seen here, so they actually might have been pretty solid. Okay, so there's a franchise potential player projected number 1. You have to let me cook here. I have a plan. The 3rd overall and the 25th overall is going to be sent over to the Nashville Predators, and we're going to get the 1st overall pick here. They're going to say no to this deal. I don't care what it takes. We are somehow going to get this deal done. Here's New Jersey's pick. That's going to be the 89th overall pick. They're going to say no to that. They're saying we're quite far off in trade value. I don't think we actually are. Here's a 2nd round pick from the Colorado Avalanche. So really, the only pick that we're trading away that we own is the 3rd overall. We're going to send that to Nashville. They're saying yes. That's a massive deal for us because we're going to get a franchise potential sniper. Now you might be thinking, well, stick on the ice. You do not need a franchise potential sniper on your team. You would be correct. But you know who we do need? One of the greatest playmakers of all time. You might not be familiar with this player right here, but Braden Point, when it comes to the simulation, is just built different. This guy right here, does not take shots in this game. 185 shots, 185 shots, 170 shots. But you know what he does do? He passes the puck a ton. Braden Point, you're going to be acquired in a trade like this. So I will give up that franchise potential player we just drafted. We're going to get Braden Point, but that's not the only thing we're getting here. Because Tampa, you have to give me the 15th overall pick. You also have to give me a first rounder for next season and a first rounder for the year 2028. So 3 first round picks, Braden Point for that franchise potential player right there. They're going to say no to that. We're going to somehow get this deal done. Maybe we just get the 15th overall. So I'll send this package over. They're going to say yes. That's huge for us. Braden Point, you are the superstar we've been looking for. Like, imagine the team. Stewart, Braden Point, Berkeley Catton, Michael Misa. We got Ziegler. He's going to be a great defenseman for us. He's going to move the puck. And Capo Caco, he's up to an 87 overall. He's about to get traded here. Yeah, we're making big splashes here. Now here's the next big time move we're going to make here. Capo Caco, you have a bunch of trade value. The 15th overall pick's pretty valuable. But you know who's even more valuable? Gavin McKenna, welcome to the team. We just keep on bringing in the playmakers. So earlier in the video, I made a statement that I have to take back. I said I was never going to trade with the Arizona Coyotes. I lied. We are going to make a trade with the Arizona Coyotes after we acquire these picks from the Vancouver Canucks and after we simulate through the re-sign phase. I have a plan here and it's going to work out for this team. 2 first round picks from Vancouver. That's going to help us a lot here because, yeah, Arizona drafted a pretty good defenseman and I wouldn't mind bringing this guy to the team. So right now, this team's in a great spot. Riley Stewart, you're going to be the superstar we need on this team. Braden Point, you're going to be an incredible playmaker. Gavin McKenna, Berkeley Catton, Zinger, Misa, incredibly valuable players to what we're trying to build here. But you know what's more valuable than all these players right there? All these draft picks we have. A first rounder for the Everett Elks, a first rounder from the Vancouver Canucks, a second rounder from the Carolina Hurricanes. We move down to 2028. We have a first rounder for the Vancouver Canucks. We have a handful of assets we can work with right now, and we're going to make some big time trades. We have to pick up another elite defenseman that's going to move the puck here. Now this trade is going to be way easier than I was expecting because Washington's actually willing to trade Dylan Strome away. He's on their trade block, so I'll give you 2 first round picks. Both of them are going to be from Vancouver. You're going to say no to that. We have more assets we can work with. Here's a second rounder from the Carolina Hurricanes. I'm going to offer that over. They're still saying no. Do you want a third rounder from somebody? Here's a third rounder from the Everett Elks, and I believe this should be enough to get Dylan Strome. They're really saying no to this. I'll throw in another second. So these are a ton of valuable picks right here. All of it's going to be sent over. Dylan Strome, welcome to the team. We still need to make one more trade. We got to improve the defensive core a little bit. Okay, now I'm well aware that I'm building a team that's very similar to when Kavasha scored 100 goals in one season, but I just need to point something out. Lane Hutson, at 22 years old, you are the best playmaker in the NHL. Now you might think I'm exaggerating. I'm not. 99 deking, 99 hand-eye, 99 passing, 99 puck control. His puck skills are maxed out across the board. He's an 88 overall. You are joining the team. How out of all players you have 99 in every single puck skills category, I couldn't tell you, but we're about to trade for you. I will give up a first round pick if I have to. I'm willing to trade our first round pick for 2028. Lane Hutson, you are going to join this team. I don't know what it's going to cost, but we are going to get you on this team. We're actually going to circle back on this. Lane Hutson, you're going to be joining our team after this season. Because what I'm going to do here is I'm going to sign one of these players right here on a 1-year deal. We are then going to trade them at the trade deadline at 50% retained, and we'll get Lane Hutson. So of all the players here that are UFAs, who has the highest trade value? Probably Jack Eichel. So Jack Eichel, you're going to be the guy that joins the team here. I'm going to give you a 1-year deal at $14 million. So that means at 50% retained, that's going to be $7 million. We'll be able to bring Lane Hutson onto the team for that price. But in the meantime, we do need a defenseman to play on the left side. So that's going to be Jacob Chikrin. It's going to be a 1-year deal at $8.3 million. We're not going to make any signings other than this. Let's simulate the season and see what happens with this team. Riley Stewart, I'm expecting about 150 points. So these are the lines that we're going to be rocking for this season. Dylan Strome, Braden Point, and Riley Stewart on the top line. Then we're going to have Berkeley Catton, Michael Misa, and Jack Eichel holding it down the second. We're going to have a ton of playmaking throughout these top 2 lines, with Riley Stewart being the only guy taking any shots here. Now, the Everett Elks are looking pretty solid right now. They're sitting in a wild card spot. We're 4th in our division, but we don't care about the standing. We just care about how is Riley Stewart doing. Well, he's pretty good right now. He's got 94 points at the trade deadline, 58 goals, goals, 36 assists, 94 points. He's taking a ton of shots, and that's exactly what we need. We need a player like Riley Stewart. We need one guy just taking all the shots here. Braden Point, you've been an incredible pickup. Dylan Strome, you've actually been a better pickup than Braden Point. I never would have guessed that. You've got more assists here. But Jack Eichel, we are going to have to trade you away here. I let you know that at the beginning of the season when I signed you that you'd be traded, and we're going to trade you for Lane Hudson. So let's just make this trade happen real quick here. Jack Eichel straight up for Lane Hudson. They're going to be accepting this deal. But you know what? Jack Eichel actually has a bit more trade value than Lane Hudson here. So you know what we're going to do? We're going to get some first round picks in this deal. I'm going to retain half of Jack Eichel's salary for this season. It's going to give him even more trade value, and that means we can get more first round picks. So I'll take your 2029 first round pick alongside Lane Hudson for Jack Eichel. Lane Hudson's been acquired here, but you know what? We're actually not done yet. Jacob Chikrin, now you're going to get traded away, and we're going to bring in a playmaker for this season. So if I do this, Jacob Chikrin at 50% retained, a third, fourth, and third rounder is going to be sent over to Boston. I just want Matt Poitras here. We gained Brad Marchand as well. We're just going to ride out his contract. But yeah, we got the playmaker that's going to be replacing Jack Eichel for the rest of the year. So the Everett Elks, although we don't have a bottom six and we only have one defensive pairing, we are going to get into the postseason with a 44, 33, and 5 record. But you know what? I don't care about the record. We care about the scoring. And Riley Stewart, in your second year in the NHL, 124 points here, 79 goals, 45 assists. Just imagine when the young guys improve on this team. Like Dylan Strome, he is what he is. He's 30 years old. Braden Point, he is what he is, but he's been a great playmaker for us. But Lane Hudson, he's going to keep on getting better. Zinger, he's going to keep on getting better. Michael Meese is going to keep on getting better. Berkeley Catton's going to keep on getting better. Gavin McKenna, he's going to join the team next season. He's going to make us even better. Yeah, this team's headed in the right direction. 124 points though, even if you average that for your entire career, I don't think that's going to be enough. You have to be pushing the 140 mark. So Riley Stewart, it might be a slow start to your career, but you're going to keep on getting better. You're up to a 94 overall. You're probably going to be a 96 for a majority of your career. So big things are happening for a guy like Riley Stewart. But even though we made the playoffs, we're not going to see a lot of postseason success. We're falling in the first round to the Colorado Avalanche while Detroit's winning the Stanley Cup. So next season is going to be a massive year for the team. All the young guys are going to get better. Gavin McKenna is going to jump into the lineup. We're going to have a career season. Before we get ahead of ourselves though, I do believe there is someone on this team that needs an extension. Like Zinger, you're a very valuable piece to this team, and I want to make sure you're staying here long term. Okay, you're not helping us in the slightest here, but you know what? I have to give you this deal. So we're going to be looking at $10.5 million for the next 8 years here. That's going to be a bit expensive, but you know what? Considering we're only basically paying 2 defensemen here, and we're only going to be paying 6 forwards, we're going to find a way to make the contracts work. So we've moved on to the draft, and I'm going to be completely honest, it was very forgettable for us. With the 20th overall pick, we're getting a medium top 6 potential forward, and then with the 119th overall, a medium top 4 potential defenseman. Those are the only 2 notable prospects. I have incredibly low expectations for the other 3 players. So when it comes to the re-sign phase, plain and simple, every single player is going to walk here. I'm not re-signing anyone. When it comes to the goaltending, both these guys are going to be walking as well. So we got to make sure that the big time players on this team are locked down long term. So we're going to start with Riley Stewart. This is going to be a bag for him, $15 million per year for the next 8 years. That's going to be very expensive. Matt Poitras, somehow you're up to an 86 overall, but you know what? I don't plan on keeping you on this team long term, so I'm not going to be re-signing you here because we have to make sure that we have enough money for Dylan Strome. He's one of the most important pieces. So yeah, I guess outside Riley Stewart, that's really going to be the only notable deal. Maybe we can give Aiden Hill an extension here. What's he looking for? I can do 2 years at $5 million. So Aiden Hill, you'll come back for the next 2 years at this price. That's actually pretty solid. Now this top 6 is probably going to be sticking around for the next 3 years. Dylan Strome, Riley Stewart, Braden Point, Michael Meese, Gavin McKenna, Berkeley Catton. When it comes to the defense, Lane Hudson and Zinger, you're going to be the guys for a long time here. I'm thinking you might be here for the rest of this video. I'm not going to lie. An 87 overall and a 90. Both of you are elite playmakers, so you got to stay on this team. Meanwhile, Aiden Hill just makes saves from time to time. So Boston, how about we make a deal happen here? I'll give you Matt Poitras back, and you give me your first round pick for 2029. Poitras is going to be off the team here, so we don't have to worry about re-signing him. And ideally, Boston completely tanks next season, and then that pick has a lot of value. So now that we're past the trade deadline, we're going to be able to give Dylan Strome an extension here, and he's going to be looking for a bag, but honestly, he deserves it. It's going to be $9 million for the next 6 seasons. He's an elite playmaker for us, one of our better players. We got to make sure that he's sticking on this team long term. Now, you know what? I have to turn the face cam on for this. Riley Stewart, I'd like to apologize to you. I just realized what the big difference between this season and last season was. If you don't break the record because of this, that's all on me. Look at his power play scoring. This man just happened to have 22 less power play points. Now, why would that be? Because I forgot to put him on the second power play, and I forgot to put him on the 4-on-3 power play line number 1 and 4-on-3 power play line number 2. He was only playing on 1 power play line instead of 4. That's on me. The failure of Riley Stewart is on me this season, but you know what? He still picked up 70 goals. So 70 goals considering you were only playing on the top power play and the first line, yeah, you might have been able to crack 100 if I didn't screw up there. But you know what? I gotta take the blame for that one. Riley Stewart, it's not your fault. The Edmonton Oilers are winning the Stanley Cup, but yeah, that season's on me. We're gonna be better next year. I'm gonna make up for my mistakes. Now, really, the only good thing about this season is we are gonna get the 10th overall pick here. So if there is a franchise potential playmaker projected number 1, we will be able to trade for him. So there's no superstar prospects at the 10th overall pick, so I'm willing to trade this pick away, and I would like to get 2 first-round picks from the Florida Panthers, so I'm going to send this package over. I think it might be enough. They're going to say no. I think a 4th rounder or something could make the difference. But instead of offering a 4th, we're going to start with the lucrative 7th round pick and see if that makes the difference. Of course it will. So we have 4 first round picks for next season, and only one of those picks is ours. So we're just going to pray that some team completely tanks and we get the first overall pick. Now, although we have $26 million in cap space, I can't afford to keep these guys on the team right here, so we're going to have to let them walk because Michael Misa is going to need an extension, Berkeley Catton's going to need an extension, and then down the road, we're going to have to pay Gavin McKenna, so we have to make sure that we have money for all of these guys right here. So yeah, we can't be wasting a bunch of money on 4th line players right now. So as I said, Michael Misa is going to be looking for an extension here, so we got to make sure that we're locking him down long term. It's going to be 8.8 for the next 8 years. That's not too bad of a deal. And then when it comes to Berkeley Catton, I think we could probably get him for a bit less. Okay, it's going to be a lot less here. Berkeley Catton, we're probably going to lock you down for about 6.8 for the next 8 years. So yeah, that's a steal. I was thinking you were going to be wanting like $8-9 million, so 6.8 for the next 8, we can work with that. So not only have we got a new coach for this season, but I've made sure that Riley Stewart's going to be playing on all the power play lines, all the penalty kill lines. He's going to be playing 26 minutes a game, but you know what? That's going to fix the issue of him only picking up 98 points last season. He's going to be looking at 150 this season. I wouldn't be surprised if he's pushing 95 goals. He might even score 100 goals this season. Riley Stewart's going to do some big things. The top 6 is looking the same. The defense is looking the exact same with Lane Hudson and Zinger leading the way. Lane Hudson 88 overall, Zinger an 87. And when it comes to the goaltending, I'm not too worried about that. We have Aiden Hill, he's an 85 overall. Not really expecting him to do too much here, but you know what? We have the key guys locked down. They're going to make some big plays out here. And Riley Stewart, it's time for a massive bounce back campaign from you. Now, we have some big things to celebrate this season. The Everett Elks first in the entire league with the best offense, 4.17 goals per game. Nobody was even close to us. Okay, that's a lie. The Devils were pretty close to us, but we stood alone as the best team in the entire league. Riley Stewart, he was the best player in the entire league here. 85 goals in 82 games. He picked up 56 assists in the process, finishing with 141 points. That's what we're looking for. If you can average this for the next 15 years, we're going to be on pace to beat Wayne Gretzky's record. But you know what? There's also something else that the Everett Elks did this season. Not only is Riley Stewart going to pick up 141 points, they're going to win the Stanley Cup, taking down the Devils in a 5-game series. The Everett Elks Stanley Cup champions, and we're not even trying to win a Stanley Cup here. I won this team a Stanley Cup without even trying. Riley Stewart, 20 goals, 13 assists for 33 points. He was phenomenal. Michael Misa was great. Berkeley Catton was great. The top 6 was phenomenal. The defense was great here. Everything about this team was great. And Aiden Hill, you want us a Stanley Cup? I didn't even set Stanley Cup expectations for you, and you somehow still found a way to do it. Thanks for the great goaltending. So now that we saw what Riley Stewart's really capable of when he's playing on all the power play lines and all the penalty kill lines, let's run it back and see if Everett can win another Stanley Cup and if Riley Stewart can top this season. Now, I guess the other thing that we should be paying attention to is the draft lottery results, because we have a handful of picks, but unfortunately Montreal's going to get the 14th overall. That's going to go to us, and Boston, they're getting the 15th overall, and that's going to us as well. So we're not going to be jumping to number 1, but we did get a couple valuable picks there. So if there is a franchise potential playmaker available at number 1, we're going to be trading for them. Okay, we have a high top 6 potential player here projected in the top 3. This is not going to be a good draft. None of our picks are going to have a ton of value here, so we might as well just trade them away. Like, we might be able to get a mediumly potential player here, but I'd rather just trade those picks and get some future first rounders. So this is what trade number 1 is going to look like here. The 14th overall and the 33rd overall over to the New York Islanders, and we're going to pick up 2 future first round picks. They're going to say no to this deal. I'll give you a 5th rounder as well, and I think that should be enough to get this deal done. So there we go, 2 future first round picks. But we're not done there. Look at all these draft picks we have to work with. Ideally, we just trade the first round picks here and then maybe like a 6th or something, because I would like to get a couple prospects in the draft. Now, I'm actually happy that Edmonton Oilers said no to that deal, because now we're going to try to pull off something like this. 3 first round picks from the Dallas Stars, their first round for next season, the season after that, and the season after that. That's going to be 3 first rounders. Eventually Dallas is going to fall apart. They're going to be a bad team, and we're going to own their first round pick. I'll include a 3rd rounder. They're saying no to that, but I believe this 6th round pick, which is the 198th overall, is going to be the difference. 3 first round picks from the Dallas Stars. That's a huge deal right there. So we have two very important players that we have to sign to the team here. The first is going to be Gavin McKenna, because I have to make sure he's staying on this team long term. He's one of the younger players on this team, but it's going to cost us a pretty penny. Like, McKenna, I know you're a great player and all, but are you really worth $12.5 million? We're only going to have $13 million left in cap space, but you know what? We got to do what we got to do. We got to make sure that all the players are sticking around long term here. And then it comes to a guy like Braden Point. Now, this is going to be very difficult to get done. We really don't have the cap space for you. We will find a way to get this deal done. You're 33 years old. You're going to start declining quick. Do we just trade you away now? Like, I will offer you this extension. It's going to be $11.5 million for the next 4, but we really have to consider, do we just trade Braden Point right now while his value is at its highest? So you remember how I was trying to figure out whether or not we're going to trade Braden Point? Well, the answer is no, because every other playmaker that has a high passing attribute is going to shoot the puck way too much. Braden Point's the exception. He's one of those very few playmakers that actually just takes 0 shots. Like, bro's taking about 200 shots per season. That's just a little over 2 shots per game. Riley Stewart, on the other hand, he's taking borderline 500 shots. So I'm going to do whatever it takes to keep this forward core together. It's almost all 90 overalls. 90 overalls across the top 6 here. Riley Stewart's the guy that's going to be taking every single shot. I'm expecting him to put up at least 150 points this season. It's going to be a career season for him. So I'm slightly concerned. We're 4th in the entire league, a 51-28-3 record. Not quite 4 goals per game. We really didn't have the best offense here, and with us not having the best offense, Riley Stewart, he's going to take a slight step back. Only 128 points here, 77 goals, 51 assists. This just isn't going to cut it. I need you averaging like 140 points a season. Right now you have 586 points in 410 games. That means right now you're averaging about 117 points a season. If you were to play a 20-year career, you're going to have 2,344 points. We can't have that. I need you on average picking up at least 130 points a season, and then over a 20-year career, we're going to be looking at least 2,600 points. We're going to have an extra 5 points here and there from different seasons. I need you on average picking up at least 130 points per season, and then we'll have a chance of breaking Wayne Gretzky's record. Because at 130 points per season for a 20-year career, we're going to be looking at 2,600 points. Obviously, that's almost 300 points less than what Wayne Gretzky did, but at least if we're averaging that, we know we're going to be somewhat close. So 128 point season, that's just not going to cut it, Riley Stewart. I need you to do better. Aiden Hill, your numbers mean absolutely nothing here. I'm not worried about those. The Nashville Predators are going to go on to win the Stanley Cup because they took us down in the conference finals in a 6-game series. But you know what? That definitely wasn't to the fault of Riley Stewart, because this man was absolutely phenomenal in the postseason. 22 goals in 20 games, 13 assists as well for 35 points. Nothing more this man could have done. Like, he's a power play merchant though. 12 of his 22 goals were coming on the power play, so over half of his goals are coming there. I need you to put up numbers similar to this in the regular season, because if you picked up 12 power play goals every 20 games, you probably would have had another 20 points this season. But this could be a huge draft, so we have to pay attention to the draft lottery. Are we going to be getting the number 1 overall pick? It doesn't look like it, but we are going to get the 8th overall, and we are going to get the 16th overall. Now, if there is a franchise potential playmaker, we got to make a play for them. With all these draft picks we have and all the potential moves at play that we can make here, we got to make sure that we're paying attention to what's available in the draft. We might even trade up for just a medium elite potential playmaker, because eventually we are going to need somebody to replace Braden Point. Now, it's not a franchise potential player, but a high elite's definitely something that we can trade for. Let's get that 1st overall pick. Now, of course, a trade package like this has to start with the 8th overall and the 16th overall, so I'm going to send both of those over to the LA Kings. They're going to be saying no here. What are they actually interested in? Like, are they interested in our 2nd round pick for next season? Yes, they are, so I'll include that in the deal. I'm going to send that over. They're still saying no. What else do you want in this deal? I'll give you a 4th rounder and our 3rd round pick for 2031. Ideally, this package right here is going to be enough to get this done. Okay, that was easier than I was expecting. So it turns out all those assets I was offering over is actually going to be a fair deal here. We're going to be selecting Danner. He's got high elite potential, starting at an 82 overall. Ideally, he can eventually reach that franchise potential, and he can be Braden Point's replacement. So St. Louis right now has the 4th overall pick, and there's a prospect that I really want, but we're actually not going to trade for the prospect. We're going to trade for 2 future 1st round picks from the Vancouver Canucks. They're going to say no to this deal right here. I'll include a 5th rounder. If I have to, I'll include a 6th, and if I have to, I'll include a 7th, but it doesn't look like we're going to have to. We're going to get this deal done. Now, those 1st round picks, they're going to be at play in the off season. So what's going to happen in the re-sign phase? All of the players right here are going to be walking away. Aiden Hill, you're probably going to be walking away as well. When it comes to the unsigned players, Danner, we're actually not going to sign you for this season. We're going to hold off until next season. I want you to develop in the OHL for one more season. It will also be better for our salary cap situation here. But you know what? I think you're going to turn out to be a great player for us. You already have some good playmaking abilities, but I am a bit concerned you might be shooting the puck a little bit too much. You have some pretty high shooting attributes. Not what I'm really looking for here, but you know what? Time will tell. Now, the 2 first-round picks that we got from the Vancouver Canucks are immediately being thrown in deals here because I'm going to send them over to the Pittsburgh Penguins, and I want to get this young prospect right here. He's an 81 overall. He's got a ton of X factor so far, but he's a really good young playmaker, and I think he could eventually become a top 6 player for us. So hopefully 2 first-round picks can be enough. I'll take one of the second-rounders out. If I have to give up 2 firsts in this deal, I will, but I don't really want to. You know what? We're getting this medium elite potential player. He's going to be playing in juniors this season, so we're not going to use up a year on his contract. He's going to get a bit better, but eventually he is going to be jumping in the top 6 for us. I don't know if it's going to be next season. I don't know if it's going to be the year after that. A lot of things are really just going to depend on how Braden Point's regression is. Before we get into making any free agent signings, we do have to make sure that Lane Hudson gets locked down long term here. So I'll do $11.6 million for the next 8 years. Everyone we have on this team now is basically locked down for at minimum 5 years, except for Braden Point and I think Dylan Strome. Both of those guys are going to be signed to shorter term deals, but you know what? They're also older players, but that's why we picked up those 2 young players in the draft. Once Dylan Strome and Braden Point age out, both of those guys are going to be jumping into the lineup. Now I have some bad news here. Braden Point's dropped to a 93 overall. He doesn't have franchise potential anymore. Time's running out for him. So more than likely this is going to be his final season on the team. But you know what? That's perfectly fine. Him and Dylan Strome are going to be the only pieces leaving in the future. Berkeley Catton's going to be sticking on the team. Gavin McKenna's sticking on the team. Of course, Riley Stewart's going to be here. And so is Michael Misa. These 4 guys are basically untouchable. And the reason I say they're basically untouchable is if there's a franchise potential playmaker available in the draft and I have to trade one of these guys away, I definitely will do that. But you know what? Right now, the team's looking good. Riley Stewart, you had a bit of a slower season last year. I need you to bounce back big time, and that's what I think is going to happen. You're on all the power play lines, you're on all the penalty kill lines. I need you to do something historical this season. Now, it was a very disappointing season for the Everett Elks, but the one good thing is our offense wasn't completely abysmal. 3.91 goals per game. And what is that going to equal? Well, it's going to equal a good season for Stewart. He's picking up 135 points here, 85 goals and 50 assists. That's a great season from him. I just need him to get that shooting percentage up. I need him to get back to the years when he was shooting like 18-19%. Has he ever shot 18-19%? Okay, never mind. This is actually one of his best shooting seasons. This actually is his best shooting season if you don't count this one right here, because he shot significantly more this season. Okay, so Riley Stewart, this was actually your best shooting season. I was hoping for around 20%, but you know what? I'll take this right here. 135 points is good. We need a couple more seasons like this. You're still only 24 years old, so you're going to keep on getting better. But Braden Point, I am concerned about you. You're going to start declining pretty quick here. The thing is, if we trade Braden Point, who do we want to pick up? Well, I think we have to go with Jordan Gavin. Only taking 159 shots, he would fit perfectly on this team. Shout out to the Buffalo Sabres. They're going to win the Stanley Cup here. We're going to fall in the second round to the Anaheim Ducks, but the postseason means nothing. We're only focused on the regular season, and we're focused on the draft. So please, please, please tell me there's a franchise potential player available here. We're going to get the 7th overall pick, so that's actually really good. We could probably trade up to number 1 as long as it's a franchise potential player. Even if they're not a playmaker, I'll still bring them onto the team. So taking a look at the draft class, are we going to see a franchise potential player? Yes, we are, but unfortunately, they're a sniper. We don't need a sniper here, but I'm still going to trade for this player. So here's a future 3rd round pick, as you said no to the last 2 offers. You're even saying no to this. This is actually a bit ridiculous. Here's a 4th round pick as well. Just say yes to this deal. So we're getting the 1st overall. Now, I might have traded a couple valuable assets, but you know what's a more valuable asset? A franchise potential player. So we're going to draft this guy right here. Now we're immediately trading him. So what are we going to trade that franchise potential player for? Well, we're going to get a 1st round pick, and then another 1st round pick, and then another 1st round pick. So 3 1st round picks. Now you might be thinking, well, 3 1st round picks, that's not enough. Well, we're also getting Jordan Gavin, and we're also getting this medium elite potential player. So yeah, I would say this is a pretty fair trade. You get that franchise potential player, we get 3 1st round picks, a superstar playmaker, and then another really good young playmaker. So yeah, I would say this trade works out for both sides. And then this is going to be the final move we're doing at the draft here. We're not going to be drafting any players ourselves, but we are going to be picking up 3 future 1st round picks from the Anaheim Ducks. Okay, they're going to say no to that. I was really hoping we'd be able to get all 3 1st rounders, but you know what? I'll take 2 1st rounders and 2 2nd rounders. So I think this deal is going to be accepted by Anaheim. They're actually going to say no to that. I'll take out one of the 2nd rounders, but you got to give me at least 2 1sts and a 2nd. Now, plain and simple, this team is something special. Superstar X factors for every single player on the top 6 except for Dylan Strome. But you know what? That's perfectly fine. He's still an 88 overall. He's got a ton of X factors. This team is looking to do something historic this season. Riley Stewart, I'm expecting 100 goals. I need you to score 100 goals with all these playmakers at your side. There is no excuse. Lane Hudson has a 99 in every single puck skills category, and that includes passing. Zinger, he's pretty good at passing as well, a 95 passing rating. This team has 0 weaknesses. Okay, that's a lie. I mean, the goaltending isn't ideal here, but you know what? We're not worried about winning games. We're worried about scoring goals, and Stewart, you should be able to do that this season. Also, I'm not really too sure why I'm putting so much emphasis on you scoring goals. Like, if you pick up 90 assists as well, I'm not going to complain. But yeah, I think it's just easier to have the offense run through one player in Riley Stewart, so he picks up all the goals, and if he gets assists from time to time, that also works out for the team. Now, this inconsistency from our guy Riley Stewart is starting to irritate me here. We're 7th in the entire league, so we were actually a good team. However, Riley Stewart, what'd you do this season? Only 117 points. Bro, how did you pick up less goals here? There is nobody on this team taking shots besides you. I mean, Berkeley Catton, yeah, he took a few. He took 243, but I expect somebody to be taking some shots on this team. Zinger, he took a few as well, 264. Like, we can't only have one player. But man, what were you doing this season? There is no reason that you should have been this bad. Look at the guys we have alongside you. 94 overall, Michael Misa, who has medium franchise potential now. We have Jordan Gavin, medium elite potential, a 90 overall. Gavin McKenna, medium elite potential, an 89 overall. Berkeley Catton, an 88 overall. Dylan Strome, an 85 overall. He's about to get traded because we have some young guys that are going to be stepping in here. Lane Hudson, I'm really surprised you're not picking up more assists here. You have 99 in every single puck skills category. You should be doing better than this. Yeah, Riley Stewart, I don't know what's going on with you, my guy, but you're just not living up to the hype here. I mean, 117 points isn't bad, but yeah, you only have 838 so far in your career. You're definitely not going to be passing Wayne Gretzky with those numbers. In the postseason, not really too much happened here. We ended up losing to the San Jose Sharks in the first round, and they would go on to win the Stanley Cup. But yeah, we're going to make a couple changes to this team. Dylan Strome, you're about to get traded away. Danner, you're going to be jumping into the lineup next season. You're going to be Dylan Strome's replacement. Are we getting any valuable draft picks here? It doesn't look like it, but that pick that we did trade to the Pittsburgh Penguins is going to turn out to be the 9th overall. So yeah, that kind of sucks. Danner, I really thought you were going to be a part of this team's future. We only have a minute and 50 seconds to get this deal done. Here's another first round pick. Okay, we can relax now. Now, the reason I was stressing so much is because of the guy we're about to draft here. Who are we going to be getting? Medium franchise potential, gem playmaker. We're getting a franchise potential gem who happens to be a playmaker, 82 overall. This is the player we've been looking for. This is the guy that we've been looking to pair alongside Stewart, and we finally got him. So I think for this season, what we're going to do, it's going to be Stewart, Michael Misa, Jordan Gavin. Of course, Lane Hudson and Zinger are going to man the defense. Gavin McKenna, Berkeley Catton, Dylan Strome, we're going to trade you away. And then Froats, he's going to jump into the lineup here, and he's going to be one of our top 6 playmakers. After this season's up, though, Froats, you'll probably end up getting traded away because then we're going to have the franchise potential player stepping in. Now, that was a big time trade for us, but we're actually not done yet because Dylan Strome, I do have to get rid of that contract. So Dylan Strome and 2 first round picks are going to be sent over to Colorado. We're getting a first and second rounder from them. We're actually not going to be getting that second rounder, but we are going to get a first. Now, Colorado, they were a very bad team, so that pick might have a ton of value next season. So once that franchise potential player is ready to jump into the lineup, we're done making changes, and this is what it's going to look like. It's going to be Stewart, Michael Misa, and then that franchise potential player. Jordan Gavin will move down to the second line, and he'll play alongside Berkeley Catton and Gavin McKenna. So it's going to be 5 of the greatest playmakers of all time, alongside Stewart, the greatest scorer of all time. I mean, he's not Kavasha, and obviously Kavasha is the greatest goal scorer of all time. I'm really surprised that Stewart hasn't scored 100 goals, though. Like, Kavasha was constantly putting up 90 goals, and Stewart right here, he's struggling to do that. Of course, when it comes to the defense, Lane Hudson and Zinger, they're going to be the top 2 guys. Probably wouldn't hurt if we picked up a 3rd defenseman here, but you know what, we'll worry about that later. And when it comes to goaltending, Sebastian Cossa, stop the puck from time to time, and I won't have a problem with you. So this is the worst our team's going to look from here on out. Like, once that franchise potential player joins the team, I'm looking at a 95 overall, a 90 overall, and another 95 overall on our top line. Our second line is going to be all 90 overalls with superstar X factors. The only thing holding this team back and not allowing Riley Stewart to succeed is Riley Stewart and the Everett Elks. There's no reason we shouldn't be scoring 18 goals a game. So this is going to be the last season where I'm showing the Everett Elks record, but we were actually incredible here, a 54, 24, and 4 record, because the record doesn't matter. All we care about, Riley Stewart's numbers. He's picking up 130 points this season. He's up to a 96 overall, only 81 goals here, but you know what? 130 points is pretty solid. The only concern I'm going to have about him is once he hits 32 years old, how fast is his decline going to be? Because ideally he can play into his late 40s and then we'll definitely be able to break the record. But you know what? If he decides to retire early at like 35 or something, then we're going to be toast. Gavin McKenna, you were picking up a ton of assists. Michael Misa, you're doing the same. Gavin McKenna, Berkeley Cat, and you guys are playing your role here. For Oates, you scored 41 goals this season. You are off this team. You took way too many shots. You will never play another game for this franchise. 41 goals from Froats. You are taking shots away from a guy like Riley Stewart, and he's here to score goals and only score goals. I mean, he's here to also pick up the odd assist. But yeah, 130 points from him. Probably could have been 150 if Froats wasn't taking all these shots right here. 285, that's 285 too many. We also didn't win the Stanley Cup. We fell in the conference finals, but that's not really important. Our franchise potential player is going to be signed in the offseason here. He's going to be jumped into the lineup. Froats, I'm immediately trading you away here. And then the team we have at the beginning of next season is going to be the team we rock for the next decade. Now, since there's no superstar in this draft, and when I say superstar, I'm talking franchise potential player, I'm just going to simulate the entire draft here. We have a handful of draft picks. We'll bring in a handful of prospects. Ideally, one of these guys has medium elite potential, and then they can be a good trade asset in the future. So Froats, I already told you, we're trading you away here. You're off to the Rangers. We're picking up Murray. He's going to be our third defenseman. I want to see what happens if we rock 3 defensemen here. Is it going to impact Stewart's scoring? Like, is he going to be taking shots away from Stewart? Is he going to be taking less shots? Is he going to be recording less points? Or is it going to help because now we're going to have a bit more depth here? We're going to learn a lot from this season right here. So the Arizona Coyotes have this low elite potential player. He's a really good passer, has a 96 in that attribute. So you know what? He could be a good third line guy for us. So I'm going to acquire him in a trade like this. We're giving up one of the medium elite potential players we traded for a long time ago. But you know what? This guy's already under contract, and his contract's also a lot cheaper. It just makes things easier. So this is what the team's going to be looking like from here on out. Michael Misa, Riley Stewart, Jordan Gavin, the franchise potential player that we just picked up, Berkeley Catton, Gavin McKenna. This team's looking absolutely phenomenal. The top 6 is going to be all 90 overalls and above. When it comes to the defense, Lane Hudson's a 91. Zinger's going to be a 90 here. We also picked up Murray here. He's up to an 89 overall, medium elite potential. He's an incredible passer, so he's going to be really valuable for this team. I'm not really too sure what he's going to be doing on the second pairing here, because you know what? He's paired up with a 75 overall, but he's going to play a couple minutes on the power play, so he definitely should help a ton. So I have such high expectations for Riley Stewart, it's actually ridiculous. We had a 63 win season. 63 wins means we probably scored a lot of goals. And Riley Stewart, I assume you had to have been leading the way here. 148 points, that's what I've been waiting for. I've been waiting for a season like this. 88 goals, 60 helpers, 148 points. We're taking over the league. And then once this franchise potential player starts developing here, what's he sitting at now? He's up to a 90 overall. He'll have a superstar X Factor next season. We're going to have 2 forward lines consisting of all 90 overalls. And you know what? We're actually going to make a trade over the offseason. I want to make sure that we have 3 elite defensemen here. Alright, so I have a plan here. Kevin Korchinski, you have a pretty good passing attribute here, a 92 overall. However, you're on a pretty steep contract. I mean, it's not that steep. $6.4 million for the next 4 years. I'm not really too sure we can take that on, especially if we're going to have to pay a franchise potential player down the road. But you know what? What if you retain half of that salary? Carolina retain half of his salary for the next 4 years. Well, it's going to be the next 3 after this one. But if we can get this deal done, then we're definitely going to be able to keep Kevin Korchinski on the team long term. I'll give up the 9th overall pick in this medium elite potential defenseman right here. We're not going to be able to re-sign him. He's looking for $10 million. But if we can get Kevin Korchinski for $3 million for the next couple of years, that's definitely a move I'm willing to do. So I'm going to offer this package over. They're saying no just because they don't want to take on the money, but I think we'll be able to get this done somehow. So I'm willing to give up the 31st overall pick just to get this deal done. So they're saying yes to that. So we have Kevin Korchinski for the next 3 years, and we're only going to be paying him $3 million. So trading for first round picks in the past has definitely worked out for us. So let's get St. Louis's first round pick for next season. Alright, so Zinger, the plan was to keep you around long term. You've been a great defenseman for us, but now you're asking for $20 million. Yeah, we definitely can't do that, so I'm shipping you over to the Winnipeg Jets, and we're going to get these 2 players right here. They're 285 overalls, but you know what? They're really good at passing the puck, so why not bring them to the team here? I think Zinger should be enough for both of them. Winnipeg is supposedly getting a fantastic deal here. Yeah, wait till you have to pay Zinger. So when it comes to the top 6, it's going to be all 90 overalls here, but the one thing I am surprised about is the fact that Lai doesn't have a superstar X Factor yet. Yeah, he's a 92 overall, but I was fully expecting by year number 2 he'd be having a superstar X Factor. When it comes to the defense, it's actually the best we've ever seen it. We have 2 full pairings pairings, and both of these pairings are amazing at passing the puck, so I think we're going to be scoring even more goals here. So Riley Stewart, this is a big season from you. I need you to have a career season. I'm looking at least 150 points here. I mean, best case scenario, you average over 2 points a game and then have like 164 points or something. Now Riley Stewart, this is a big time season for you. 151 points here, 97 goals, 54 helpers. But you know what? That's going to bring your average up a ton here, and you might now be on pace to break Wayne Gretzky's record as long as you play like 21 seasons. I'm really banking on this guy playing till he's like 43 years old, and if he's able to do that, then he'll definitely be breaking the record. We're not quite halfway there yet, but we're getting pretty close. Also, shout out to all those defensemen that we brought to the team here. They were great additions. Unfortunately, in the postseason, we are going to be upset in the second round, falling to the Calgary Flames. We finished as a top 3 team, but you know what? We don't really care about that. We just care about what Riley Stewart's up to. Love to see it. You'll love to see it. You really do. The second overall pick. We're bringing in a good player, that's for sure. So with the second overall pick, it's a very easy choice. We're going with the medium elite potential playmaker. He's not going to play on this team for the next 2 years. We're going to have him develop for 2 more years before we sign him, but he eventually might be able to crack the top 6. You never know. So I'm very scared heading into next season because Stewart needs an extension, Lottie needs an extension, and Gavin McKenna needs an extension. That's 3 players right there. We're going to be looking at probably 45 million combined with all these players right here. Each player is looking for at least 15 million. Stewart's probably going to look for 18 million. We're going to be in a tough spot. So things are already looking bad for this team, but now they're looking worse. Our head coach retired. That man was crucial to the success this team's seen, and now he's gone. So yeah, I don't know what we're going to do here. So we have $33 million to work with, but you might as well cut that in half now because Stewart, here's 17.1 for the next 8 years. When it comes to Lottie, I'm expecting he's going to be looking for a bag as well. He's wanting $13 million. Jordan Gavin, where are you going to be looking for? Okay, we actually might be able to do this. Now let's say Jordan Gavin gets $11.5 million. That's going to still give us about $5 million to work with. Well, we could trade one of our defensemen that is making around $5 million. We could trade this guy. He's making $8 million. We trade him away, bring in a cheaper defenseman, and then Lottie will be able to sign you long term. That's the plan. So here's the plan. I'm going to trade our $8 million defenseman over to the St. Louis Blues, and we're going to pick up this $5 million defenseman right here. We're going to ride out his contract for this season, then next year we'll trade him away. By making a trade like this, we're not carrying any money into next season, and that's exactly what we have to do here. We got to make sure that we clear up cap space. So we're clearing up about $8 million in a deal like this for next season. Now we can re-sign Lottie. So Lottie, we have enough money for you, so here's 12.3 for the next 8 years. We have the 3 key pieces locked down. Now we can relax. The important guys are going to be sticking around, and everyone's locked down on a long-term contract. Now Riley Stewart, you did it. 102 goals. You actually passed Kavasha. You had a better goal scoring season than Kavasha. 102 points here. He only scored 101 in his 100 goal campaign, but you were able to top that. 102 goals here, 54 assists for 156 points. This is another big season. We were hoping for another season like this. This season's going to age really well. You're starting to pick up the pace here. You'll love to see it. Are you on pace to beat Wayne Gretzky though? I don't think so. Right now, you're on pace for about 130 points this season. So if you were to play a 20-season career, you would finish with 2,600 points. You'd be 257 shy of Wayne Gretzky. But you know what? You've been picking up the past couple seasons. 148 points, 151, 156, a couple more 150-point campaigns, and I think you're going to be all right. So we have to acquire some future first-round picks because I have a plan, and if this plan works out for us, the team's going to be in a great spot. Florida's going to be saying no to this trade right here, and that actually hurts us a little bit. I was really hoping to get this done. So hopefully a 4th rounder replacing a 6th is going to be enough to be the difference. It looks like it will be. We got Florida's first round pick for next season, but we need a couple more first rounders. So New Jersey, would you be interested in trading 2 first round picks for this package right here? Not really surprised you're saying no to that. I don't even know why you would say yes to it, but maybe we can get a first and a second. So are we going to be able to get this deal done with the New Jersey Devils? That's going to be a big time move for us. We're going to be packaging a lot of these picks up next season. So it turns out trading for all those draft picks is going to be a massive waste of time here. Goalie, I'm going to qualify you as an RFA, but you are going to get traded away here. And here's the reason why this was a massive waste of time. I just realized Michael Misa needs a deal, and I just realized Berkeley Cat needs a deal. Both of these guys are going to be looking for absolute bags. But we got to make sure that we can re-sign both of these guys right here. Are we going to have the money to do so? Probably not, but we'll find a way. Now, of course, it does have to be an 8-year deal, so this is what we're going to be looking at. It's going to be 12.75 for the next 8. And then when it comes to Berkeley Catton, he's probably going to be looking for a bag as well. We can make this happen. So with Berkeley Catton, we'll do 10.8 for the next 8 years, and that's going to keep both of you guys locked down long term. So you know what? Things are actually working out for us, and I think we will be able to make this trade I was thinking about making. So St. Louis, I'm willing to trade these 2 first-round picks, and they have so much value, it's beyond ridiculous. And I'll also give you this medium league potential defenseman right here. As long as you give me Friesen here, 4 years left on his contract at 50% retained, I think this is a pretty fair trade. They're going to say no to that. I'll give you our first round pick for next season as well. I'm going to overpay so much, it's actually going to be a bit ridiculous here. But you know what? As long as we can get this deal done, I'm going to be happy. They've said no so far, but what if I give you another second round pick? They're still saying no. I didn't want to do this, but I think we're going to have to. So you remember the guy we drafted second overall a couple years ago? Well, I'm going to throw him into this deal. So Timonen, ideally, you're going to be the missing piece, and then we'll be able to get this deal done. They're going to say no to that. I'll throw in a first round pick as well, but this is the most I'm willing to do. So this massive package right here for freezing at 50% retained, are we going to be able to get it done? That is huge for us. So that's not going to be the only trade we do here, because then 2 second rounders and Kevin Korchinski is going to be sent over to the New Jersey Devils. We're going to get Smits. The big thing about Smits is we're going to have his RFA rights for next season. So even after this season, we'll be able to trade him away and bring in another young defenseman. They're going to say no to Kevin Korchinski, but you know what? We have another guy we can trade. We can trade this defenseman right here. New Jersey's actually interested in him, so we might be able to get this deal done. All we have to do is change which players we're going to be trading. So Riley Stewart, boy, were you a disappointment this season. Ignore the fact that we're at the draft here. Yeah, ignore all that. Stuck on the ice, might have had his mic muted, but yeah, bro, you suck this season. 71 goals, 41 assists, 112 points. You had 3 straight campaigns where you were absolutely untouchable. 148 points, 151, 156. Just when I thought you were about to take that next step, 112 points here. You can't be declining right here. And the biggest difference between this season and last season, the power play numbers. You went from 64 points here to 36, and that makes no sense considering you were still on every power play line. But you know what? I just realized what the big difference was. Now this is the first season in history for the Everett Elks where the top 6 is going to consist of players that all have superstar X factors. All of these guys have superstar X factors, and there's only one sniper here. Well, he's actually not a sniper, he's a power forward. I mean, same difference. Riley Stewart, I need you to have a massive bounce back season. We're not even going to discuss what happened last year. It was a massive disappointment. I know you have more in you, and I expect more from you. Okay, Riley Stewart, you're cooked. Plain and simple. Michael Misa had more points than you during the postseason. I can only assume during the regular season you must have been absolutely abysmal. What'd you do? 128 points isn't awful, but I mean, yeah, it's not going to cut it here. I don't think you're going to be breaking Wayne Gretzky's record because ever since we brought in that new coach, you haven't been that guy. 112 points here, 128 points here, that's not going to cut it. We needed more seasons like this, and you know what? Ever since we brought in that new coach, you haven't been that guy. I mean, you're also just shooting worse. Like 17% is just not good enough. You were shooting 20% here, 19% here. We need to get back to these numbers. Also, our power play is just taking a massive step back here. 58 points here, 64 points here, 60 points here, 64 points, and then the new coach joined the team. 36 points, 47 points. We can't work with this coach. Like, this coach isn't going to allow Riley Stewart to succeed. But you know what? We only have 2 more years until we have to bring on a new coach, because then we need to hire a veteran coach to make sure that Riley Stewart doesn't decline super quick. So Lane Hudson, you're not that guy anymore. Plain and simple. A 94 passing rating, that's not good enough to play on this team. So we have to trade you away here. You, along with 2 first-round picks, can be sent over to Winnipeg. We're bringing in McCarthy at 50% retained. We're going to have him locked down for the next 3 years. I think this is a pretty fair deal. They're saying no because they don't want to retain money, but we're going to get a deal done. So here's a second rounder as well. Hopefully that's going to make the difference. They're still saying no to that. I'll give you another second. I'm willing to trade quite a bit just so you can retain 50% of the money. They're going to say no to that. What about 3 first-round picks? Like, I'll give you San Jose's for 2040. All 3 of these first-round picks are incredibly valuable. Are you going to say yes? There we go. We just got an elite defenseman on an incredible contract. Alright, so we can't just do 1 trade here. We have to do 2 because Smits, we're not going to be able to bring him back here. He's looking for too much money. So we're going to pick up Hamonic from the Washington Capitals. It's going to be Smits and a 3rd round pick, but it's actually going to be a bit more than that. I'll give you a 2nd rounder as well. This should be more than enough to get this deal done. So Hamonic, welcome to the team. So we're not talking about this season. Riley Stewart, 84 goals. He had 42 helpers here, 126 points. Basically, what you have to do is average 100 points for the next decade. If you're able to do that, then you're going to break Wayne Gretzky's record. But that means you have to be consistent into your late 30s. Like when you're 37, 38, 39, I still need you picking up 100 points. You've had some slower years over the past 3. You kind of stepped it up this season, but you really didn't. You had less points than last season. If you're going to break Wayne Gretzky's record, I need you to step it up here. I need you to be better than you've ever been before. But there is one main difference between this season and every season before. We have a veteran coach from here on out, and that's going to help stop the regression for guys like Riley Stewart. So ideally, now that we have that veteran coach on the team, that's going to prevent him from regressing. So once he gets to 35 years old, ideally, he's still like a 96 overall. But if he starts regressing early, we're going to be in a tough spot. We're not going to talk about this team's record because we actually didn't make the playoffs with a 36, 40, and 6 record. So yeah, the Everett Elks, not looking good for them. So from here on out, I'm expecting only 120 points from Riley Stewart season in and season out here. 84 goals, 39 helpers for 123 points here. With the season like that, he's going to be sitting at just under 2,000 points, 1,912. So after next season, he's going to be in sole possession of second all-time in points. But you know what? That's not what we're going for here. We're going for first all-time in points. You're still a long ways away from passing Wayne Gretzky, but you know what? You still have a handful of years left in you. And the best thing to note, he's still 96 overall and he still has franchise potential. So Riley Stewart's not slowing down anytime soon. So I think we might have to accept the fact here that Riley Stewart is not going to be breaking Wayne Gretzky's record here. 84 goals, 41 assists for 125 points. That's going to put him over 2,000 points here, 2,037, but he's still 800 points behind Wayne Gretzky. This man has been dominant his entire NHL career, and he's still behind Wayne Gretzky by 800 points. He's 34 years old. He only has a couple seasons left in him, but the good news is he's still 96 overall. He still has that franchise potential, so he hasn't seen a massive decline yet. However, just because he hasn't seen a decline doesn't mean he's not going to retire, because he could easily decide, you know what, I don't want to play hockey anymore, I'm going to retire even though I'm a 96 overall. So hopefully that's not going to be the case here and we can keep running it back. If we can get 7 more good campaigns where you put up 120 points, you're going to be able to break Wayne Gretzky's record. However, in order to do that, you're going to have to play into your 40s and you're going to have to be productive in your 40s. Is that going to happen? More than likely not. So over the offseason, we had to make some big changes to the team. Gavin McKenna and Berkeley Catton completely aged out. They both dropped to 85 overalls. They couldn't play for this team anymore. We had to trade them away. So we picked up this guy from the Montreal Canadiens, a 91 overall, and he's an elite playmaker. And we also got this guy from the Vegas Golden Knights. I think this guy had like 80 some assists last season. Yeah, he had 83 assists and only took 123 shots. Meanwhile, the other guy we picked up, even more assists and even less shots. So yeah, pairing them up with Riley Stewart, that's definitely going to be a great sign. Riley Stewart's still sitting at 96 overall. He's still got that franchise potential. So as long as we see that overall and that potential, we're going to be in a good spot. Riley Stewart, what happened this season? Only 104 points here. I brought in 2 elite playmakers that basically take no shots. This guy right here only took 90 shots all season. And for some reason, Riley Stewart, you decided, no, I'm not going to shoot the puck this season. It's a career worst for the power play. You're only picking up 29 points here. You were doing absolutely nothing out there. But yeah, 104 points is not going to cut it here. I basically need you to play another 8 seasons. So Riley Stewart, I need you to do the impossible here. A 95 overall, you've dropped to elite potential. Things aren't looking good. You're 35 years old. Luckily, you haven't declined that much. However, the stats that you posted last season, not going to be good enough here. I need 6 more good years out of you. I need you to play till you're about 41, 42 years old. Also, Micah Misa, he's dropping an overall here. Jordan Gavin, he's dropping an overall. He's lost his superstar X Factor and a couple X Factors on top of that. Things aren't looking good for him. Things just aren't looking good for this team. You know what? We're going to do what we can here. Also, shout out to Quentin Musty because apparently he's on this team. 75 overall. Absolute legend. So everyone just hold on here. Riley Stewart's back at 36 years old. He's having one of the best seasons of his career. 90 goals, 54 helpers, 144 points here. This man stepped up when he needed to. He's having an incredible season here. The most points he's had in over 7 years. And you know what? He's catching up to Wayne Gretzky. 600 points away. I need 4 more seasons like this. If you can post 4 seasons where you pick up 150 points, you're going to be able to break the record. At this point, the only thing that Riley Stewart's battling is time. If he keeps on declining and he drops below an 80 overall, I don't think he's going to be able to do it. We're going to continue to give him a ton of minutes here. He's playing 26 minutes a night. He's on the ice for basically half the game. But you know what? That's what we have to do here. We got to make sure that he's on the ice constantly. He has to continue to pick up points here, but it's going to be pretty close once we get close to his retirement. But honestly, you never know when his retirement's going to be. He might retire this season. Like, he is 36 years old. Like, retirement's around the corner. He could decide to retire whenever he wants. We might be in a bit of trouble if he decides to do that this season. Now, Riley Stewart, it looks like age is starting to catch up to you. Only 128 points this season, 91 goals, 37 assists. You've dropped to 90 overall. You only have top 6 potential now. Time's winding down for you. You don't have many years left, but you're only 460 points shy of breaking Wayne Gretzky's record. So maybe hold on for another 4 years. But in saying that, I also wouldn't be overly surprised if you retired here. The Everett Elks, an absolutely abysmal season. Only 29 wins this season. We were the worst in the entire league. We don't own our first round pick because I traded it away. I had to build this team around Riley Stewart, and it's cost us a lot of first round picks. Philly has our own pick. They're going to be getting the 3rd overall. But you know what? That's perfectly fine. We had to make some big time trades in order to keep this team competitive, and it cost us our 3rd overall pick. But the real question is, Riley Stewart, are you going to be retiring here? Hopefully not. It doesn't look like it. Connor Bedard's going to be retiring at 38 years old. He's cracking the 2,000 point mark, but it's good to see that Riley Stewart's going to run it back for another year. career. Now, I honestly never thought I would see the day, but Riley Stewart's not even leading the team in scoring. This is a sad day. You know for a fact he had a bad season. He's finishing second, only 111 points here, 78 goals, 33 assists. He's dropped to an 85 overall, lost almost all of his X factors. I think this might be the final season for our guy Riley Stewart. He's just not going to be able to break Wayne Gretzky's record. At 38 years old, he's not producing like he used to be. Are we really surprised? He's aged out. It happens. So after 19 years in the NHL, Riley Stewart has made the decision. It's time for him to retire here. 2,524 points. So unfortunately, he's not going to be breaking Wayne Gretzky's record here, but he was pretty close. Considering Wayne Gretzky was close to 3,000 points, it's safe to say Riley Stewart had a phenomenal career, the second best player of all time, and you might be able to make the argument he was the greatest player of all time, but he was one goal shy of a goal per game. He finished with 1,639 goals and 1,640 games. You were telling me you couldn't find a way to just pick up one more goal? If you had one more goal, you would have been averaging a goal per game. 885 assists here, 2,524 points is phenomenal, like one of the greatest players of all time. But I'm just so sad that we didn't see you break Wayne Gretzky's record. You're even up to an 89 overall. You could have probably ran it back for another 2 seasons, probably another 3 seasons if you pushed it. Like if you played into your early 40s, you definitely would have been able to break Wayne Gretzky's record. However, you just had a few bad seasons. Like we went through a stretch here, 104 points, 125 points, 123 points. If you were producing at this pace right here, we would have broke the record.